it's me and Pretty. Yes, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe and follow through for more mommy topics, fitness, and of course everything else. So today we are talking about breastfeeding. It is a very difficult topic, and I'm here to give my story time. So when you have a kid, you just think breastfeeding will just be normal, but shock on me. I think it was difficult. It was difficult to begin with. I now have 3 kids, and from the first kid, my milk delayed in the hospital, and okay, the nurses want you to breastfeed, and there is nothing. Your body needs to take its time to do the thing and produce milk or something. So it was difficult, and we stayed at the hospital for like 2-3 days. After the baby was born, I think I stayed 2 more days, and he cried a lot at night, and I didn't understand what the problem was because the milk had started coming in, but I didn't know what the problem was. So the baby was crying a lot, and I couldn't sleep that night. At the hospital, I couldn't sleep because this baby is crying. He wakes up the next baby in the next bed. The other baby starts crying. All the babies in the ward are crying, and it was so exhausting. So the next day for my discharge, on my way home, I just told my husband, you know what, go buy naan, go buy the formula milk. And I had already bought the bottles and everything, but I wasn't intentional about formula or breastfeeding. It was just like whatever happens. So we got home, and I got the formula. Just immediately we got home, I came home with the formula itself, and I was like, yep, I'd rather have a baby who's full than a baby who's hungry, because when the baby was hungry, I did not know peace. And so that was my journey. That was my introduction into breastfeeding. It was my introduction into formula feeding, which is a very complicated journey. So yeah, so that is how we began. And I came to discover that for me, breastfeeding was hard. I know kuna hii jeshi ya it's all in your mind, relax, drink water, stop stressing about it. Not today, because people are different, and with that difference also there's a difference just how people's personality are different. That's also how our bodies are different. That's also how our physique is different. So not every person can breastfeed, and it should be a choice. No one should be crucified for choosing not to breastfeed. So I decided to formula feed, but it was more of 50-50. I'd formula feed and then I'd breastfeed, and that worked for me until 4 months, when I had started going out at 3 months, work, and at least some dates here and there. So at the end of the day, my milk started going low, and what I came to realize is that I am a very serious underproducer. There are people who are overproducers. You just start feeding your baby, milk jets everywhere. Milk is jetting. I am a very serious underproducer. I don't even think I have ever experienced a milk letdown. There are people who start breastfeeding and the baby doesn't even have to suck anymore. The milk just comes out itself. I have never experienced that. So I am a very serious underproducer. I tried to relax. I tried to take water. I tried to take porridge. I was so fed up. I was fed up. I was fed up of all this effort, yet nothing was happening. And I felt as if now I'm starting to stress myself. And I said, what the heck? Uh, the baby is well fed. The baby is happy. What should I do? And we stuck with formula. So once I started going to work and resuming my normal activities, I realized that my milk started decreasing, because the more you're out, the more milk, goes on reducing. So at the end of 4 months, and my milk was almost completely gone. To add salt to the injury was that my son had now started preferring the bottle, because they have a preference for the bottle because the bottle lets down milk fast. They don't have to suck as hard. And my son decided that from now on he'll take the bottle, and that meant formula. In my mind, I hadn't conceived the idea of pumping milk. If he'd only take the bottle, okay, then why not pump and give him breast milk in the bottle? My mind was not there. I was just like, okay, we'll continue with the formula. so that is what happened the first time. And I got a lot of criticism because, why aren't you breastfeeding your baby? Why aren't you eating? Especially my mom. My mom thought I'm starving myself. And it was a huge fight, because clearly I'm getting the right food, the right nutrition, but the fact that I don't have enough milk, she thinks that I'm starving myself, or I want to retain my figure. It was just so difficult for my African mother to understand that you can just be an underproducer and it's just difficult for you. I wouldn't know the biology of why. I don't know if it's genetics, because clearly she didn't struggle with it, but I was really struggling with breastfeeding, supplying. That is, I didn't have cracked nipples or anything, but supplying, the milk supply was just so low. If I decided to breastfeed, my baby will die of hunger. And so it was a constant battle, because my mom feels as if I want to retain my shape. I don't want to eat a lot. Like, come on. I don't think it was within my priorities to do that, but yeah, so such issues. And yeah, I decided to formula feed. So he went on formula from basically from birth till maybe 1.5. Let's just say 1 year, because after 1 year, when his brother came, we still had some formula, so he continued with it. And now I wanted to be better. So the second time I got pregnant, I started investing. I always say this, and even from my labor and delivery video, if you saw it, is that with each pregnancy, I increased my information. With each pregnancy, I sought to be better and to have a better experience. So even now in breastfeeding, this second time, I wanted, this second time, I wanted to have a better experience. So what did I do? I researched on pumping and, increasing milk supply. Oh my goodness, I have a lot. I have a lot of information. I have a lot of knowledge. Every single day was me going to look for lactation tea, researching Does fenugreek increase milk? It does. I go get fenugreek, then when it comes time to take it tastes so bad. Like, how do people take fenugreek? Okay, I'd persevere for the sake of the child, but I did so much. I did so much. So what I also noticed is that during my first pregnancy, I also had the pumps. I bought like I bought the first pump. I don't know, it's called the Intelligent. I see them a lot being advertised on Facebook. The Intelligent pump, double electric, I had it. What else did I get? I got another manual, the manual pump. It failed. What other pump did I get? A cousin of ours had been done with okay, her kid was now big. She assisted me with the Avent single electric. What other pump did I have? I think I had for. Oh, I also had the Hacker. I was tired. Those are four. Those are four types of pumps, and I was struggling. I couldn't pump because one, it was too painful. And I was like, no, I can't do it. Then the second time I got pregnant, I was like, was I doing something wrong? So that was my question. Was I doing something wrong? Why was pumping painful? And so the second time I decided that, you know what, I'll invest in a better pump and information. So this is now my fifth pump. I get what is it called? I research, I go online, and I looked at the Medela. I saw the Medela, the Avent, and those prices, man. Oh my goodness. They were expensive. I don't even know if I can get it. Let me check. Let me check. Okay, I can't find them now, but sure enough, when I was checking, there was the Avent double electric. Okay, I wanted a double electric, so at least I can handle both bulbs at once, and um, the Avent, the Medela, and I don't know, it's called Laniso. All of them were above 60,000. I don't know. They were just expensive, and I was like, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. So what happened? I was still online researching, and I came across a brand called Spectra. It's called the Spectra S2 pump. So all the reviews were positive, and I was like, wait, this thing looks, yeah, it looks nice. Everyone is recommending it, and it has battery storage for the charge, so you don't have to be connected to power all the time. And I found it a great option. So I started researching, and I couldn't get it anywhere in Kenya at all. So I found a baby shop that does the imports on baby stuff and all that, and they bought it for me technically, and that was the beginning of my exclusive breastfeeding journey. And I can say it's the best decision I ever got to do. So what else did I get? Another thing that I found out was the problem. Number two was the flange size. I don't know, but I don't. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm the one with a different body, but all 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 the pumps, all the flanges that came were big. Okay, let me come and and explain. So here is the Spectra pump. I don't know if you can be able to see it, but Spectra. And here is the pump itself. So it has, right now I'm using it as a single, depends. Depends. Sometimes in the morning I wake up and I'm so full, I'll use the double. So I'll just, the other pipe, I'll just attach it to this hole here. So it will become a double electric pump. So you can review that. Other than that, what I was saying about the flanges is that so what I was saying about the flanges is this. This is, I don't know if you can see, but there's a 28 millimeters. So that means the nipple size and all here is this 28 millimeters. And funny enough, all those pumps that I bought during my first pregnancy, the flanges were either 27 or 28 millimeters, which makes the suction painful, because if your nipple is small, then it will suck part of the areola. I guess that's the name, the areola. And so it will make pumping a very painful experience. And that is why I gave up on pumping the first time. Sorry. So that is why I gave up on pumping, because I'd use this, okay, not this specific one, but the pumps that I had bought. This I bought it the second time during the second pregnancy. So I'd use this 28 millimeters or 27 millimeters, and it will suck my nipple and my areola into this space, and it will be so painful. So it was so much discomfort that I never wanted to pump. Like I think of pumping and think of the pain. I'm like, no, not today. So what I came to realize is that, okay, this just from washing, there are water droplets, but I came to realize that everyone is created differently. So every person has their own nipple size. And funny enough, these flanges have their own sizes. So this, when I ordered my Spectra pump, I also ordered a set of flanges that will fit my nipple well and will make pumping easier. So I forgot to add about the picture illustration for how the nipple sizes are in relationship to the flange. So if your nipple rubs along the side of the tunnel, you try a larger size. There's a correct fit, and if it's too large, that means the excessive areola is pulled into the tunnel. You try a smaller size. So you can check this and see what kind of your nipple measurement and what type of flange you have to be comfortable. So this is 21 millimeters. This is 21 millimeters. I don't know if there's a huge difference, if you can see. I don't know if you can see. This is so big and this is smaller. This is smaller, it's 21 millimeters. I don't know the side-by-side comparison. Okay, baby. This is smaller and this is bigger. And what I realized was that the pumping experience was easier. It was easier for me to pump. It was easier for me to, it wasn't painful, but still, this isn't my correct size. I overestimated. This time I ordered one for 19 millimeters. So I'm still learning. So when I ordered the 21 millimeters, that is what I used the entire time I was breastfeeding my 1 year old. And I realized still it has some space. Let me try a different measurement, 19 millimeters, because I guess I really have small nipples. If there are people who use these nipples, man, I think they should they should compromise and give people like 21, because this 28 millimeters came with a box. So I don't know why they assume everyone's nipple is this big. I don't know how, like maybe, but I don't know, I can't imagine, because this is also bigger for me, and it's 21 millimeters, but it made the experience worth it. So yeah, so that is what I learned, and that is what I improved on. And the second time, because the experience was comfortable, and remember, I'm still an under producer, so I was very determined not to buy formula. Number one, formula is expensive. I remember during my firstborn, we used to buy naan at around 1,200, and when you buy wholesale or Biashara Street, it was about 950. So later when I learned Biashara Street was cheaper, it was 950 shillings. So that's what I used to get. During my sons, all of them are my sons. During my second born, I think formula had also hiked, and it had gotten to about 1,200 in a way. But that time, so I was determined to breastfeed, because it got to a point when my firstborn was growing, where we were still giving him formula. We hadn't weaned him. At 6 months, he was still taking formula full on. 7 months, formula full on. And he'd finish a tin of the 400 gram tin in 3 days. Like, that boy will take milk. And we were slow to wean him because it was our first child. We didn't know what to do. We were still eating out, and it took long, but we finally got there. So the delayed weaning also costed us, because he'd take that small tin of naan and take it only for like 3.5 days. Rarely will it get to 4 days. And that means that in a week you need 2 tins, and 2 tins means you need 2,000 per week to feed this child milk. So having known those expenses for formula, I was determined to breastfeed or feed my second born my milk. So that is why I was really insisting on having the right tools and being comfortable with the experience. But I was like, if it fails, it's okay. I gave it my best. So yeah, so that is what happened. So this second time, the second pregnancy, is when I bought this Spectra pump and the different flange. So things were easy, and I decided, you know what, I'm really loving this, and what will I do? I think I will bottle feed. So that means I will exclusively pump and leave milk for the baby to bottle feed. And that gave me peace. I don't know. Right now I'm open to judgment. I'm open to people who are naive, because being in Kenya is hard. People are very naive. Like, Oh my goodness. So that was my choice. And my second son was exclusively bottle fed with breast milk. Okay, I tried, but till 4 months. And again, my milk supply went zero. I really tried. I had a stash of milk in the freezer. I don't know if I can be able to retrieve those photos, but these are storage bags. This is a mom easy storage bags. So I'd use this to put excess milk in the freezer, and it has the instructions on what to do, and they're very sterilized, so you don't have to worry about contamination and everything. You just have to clean your baby's utensils well. So this is what I chose. And basically, in the whole topic of breastfeeding, I came to a conclusion that exclusive pumping is what works for me. I came to a conclusion that it doesn't matter what anyone says. As long as my baby is healthy, as long as I am healthy, as long as my mental health is in check, I don't want to worry so much about what people will say, because sometimes you go somewhere and you pull out a bottle to feed your baby, and then all faces are just like, why aren't you breastfeeding? So, and especially with the older generation, which is our moms, our guardians, our aunts, they don't really understand. So for me as an underproducer, exclusive pumping helped me maintain a certain supply of milk. And I was doing so well until one event put me off track. And when I say I'm an undersupplier, and then this one thing throws you off your track, you lose it. You lose it. So what I loved about exclusive pumping is that I had a constant flow of milk, it was still more than the baby could take in a day. So the excess I'd keep in the freezer for when maybe I'd go out, I'd go back to work, or maybe I haven't pumped and the baby is woken up. So such things. And it really came handy when my milk supply ended and we had a lot of stash of milk in the freezer. So the baby kept on taking that stash until the stash ended, and we were like, okay, now we need formula, at least for 2 months, for the baby to get to 6 months. And that's what we did. So essentially, this stash of milk helped us also prolong the days of which he took my breast milk for us to switch to formula. And we switched to formula because we had no other option. My milk was dry. So basically I breastfed both babies, let's say 4 months, yeah. And it didn't affect our bonding. A lot of people will say, oh, you're not bonding with the baby because you're not breastfeeding. No, bonding with the baby is how you are intentional, because you may breastfeed the baby but you're not intentional in being there for them, in comforting them, in looking at their welfare. So breastfeeding is not the only way to bond with a baby, and you shouldn't feel guilty because you are not breastfeeding. So that was my journey, and I was settled with exclusive pumping. But don't think that exclusive pumping is less work. Exclusive pumping is so much work you'd rather breastfeed. If you have the milk, breastfeed. Exclusive pumping is tedious because you have to pump after every 3 hours, because now you're working on increasing your supply. And then once you increase your supply and get to a point where you feel, okay, yeah, I can work with this, you have to constantly pump at the same time every day to maintain that supply. And as a person who is not producing much milk, you cannot afford to skip, because if you skip, you are telling your body, we don't need it, we don't need more milk, so yeah, cut down on the milk. So that's the problem with exclusive pumping. You may think someone has it easy because you feel that they have a way out, they can give the baby to someone to be bottle fed. Yeah, that's nice. That's one of the things that I love about bottle feeding the baby, that I can rest and my husband can wake up at night and feed the baby. The baby is not entirely dependent on me. So that helped a lot, because I'd relax and let someone help me. And this is my own breast milk, so I was comfortable, and I had a lot of rest. And you're also dealing with a 1-year-old who needed your attention. I told you the difference between my firstborn, my secondborn is 1 year, and now the difference between my secondborn and my thirdborn is still another year. So I have my hands full, and especially the first time when I got the secondborn, my firstborn needed attention. So he'd come and he'd want me to carry him, and that means putting the baby aside or letting someone else handle the baby. So for me, exclusive pumping, it was a lot of work, but it was worth it, because I got to spend time with my older son, and I got to delegate, and I got to allocate this and these times. So it wasn't as overwhelming being a second-time mom and taking care of a newborn and a toddler. Yeah, maybe you can tell me about your experience. But yeah, so you have to be critical about it. Don't be bothered by what anyone says at all. Just have your own goals, have your own peace, because right now mental health is a big issue. And when you sacrifice your mental health, your peace, your tranquility for the sake of what people will say, I think you're running off the track. So you choose something and you run with it, because at the end of the day, it's about you. If you're happy, if you're relaxed, there's no reason that your baby will stress you. You will be a fully present parent for your baby when they need you. So prioritize your well-being, prioritize your baby's health, prioritize everything about your happiness first. Then it will overflow. Whatever fills your heart overflows. If you're suffering from sleep deprivation, it will show, it will overflow, it will show. You'll be stressing everyone out, you'll be stressing your husband out, you'll be stressing the baby out, but the baby does not even understand why you're stressed. You'll be stressing your house help out, you'll be stressing your other kids, because it overflows. If you're depressed for some certain reason, maybe the newborn phase is taking a toll on you, and the other kids are there needing you, and you're in a mess, you're in an emotional mess about handling everything, and maybe you don't even have a house help. I've had stories of house helps coming and going tomorrow, coming this week, going next week, and it may be depressing to you. But if you choose a method that works for you to give you peace, trust me, it will be evident in everything that you do. Thank you. So this time I'm a week now. I'm 1 week postpartum, and I haven't yet started pumping actively. I have started pumping when my baby is so sleepy and I feel as if my boobs are so full, but I haven't started pumping actively, like exclusive pumping. I think I may start next week when I'll be 2 weeks postpartum, and yeah, I'll sure update about the routine from waking up to everything, and enlightening you about how I do it and what a typical day looks like when I am actively, exclusively pumping. So, yeah, and I love this. Lactating, what is it? Tops. I love this and the lactating breast. They are the best. They are the best. Okay, I don't wear bras. These are the best. So yeah, thank you. Like, subscribe, and ask questions. I'd like to interact with you. I'd like to know more about your stories, and feel free to reach out if you want any information about any of these products. You can always reach out. So thank you and peace out.